Alright, first off, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Makal Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Shalom to the brothers in the highways and byways pushing this word now, sincerity and truth. The sisters, the believers, the helps, the hopeful elect. Shalom. This is Brother Aaron from the James Jamaica camp, come with another quick lesson. And this one is gonna be labeled wow. Yeah, this one is gonna be labeled this was gonna be labeled, the fruits of idolatry, right? So let's just get straight into it. This is Wisdom of Solomon 14. I'll start at verse 7. It says, "For blessed is the wood whereby righteousness cometh," right? Because it was actually explaining how a piece of wood can be, or wood can be used to make vessels like ships, carriages. Well, not carriages, but in this example it was ships, right? And also how it's actually being used to create idols, right? So as we say from time to time, or I say from time to time, that nothing within itself is evil, right? It's just the way that it is used, because everything from the beginning was made perfect, right? It says, from "For blessed is the wood whereby righteousness cometh, but that which is made with hands is cursed, as well it as he that made it. He because he made it, and it because being corruptible, it was called God." All right. So all those who actually make vessels of idolatry, things that link to idolatry, whether things Christian merchandise, all these other false religions, idols like literal graven images to worship, those that make it are cursed, uncorruptible, just as the idol itself, right? Verse 9 says, "For the ungodly and his ungodliness are both alike hateful unto God. For that which is made shall be punished together with him that made it." And this is why Esau, the so-called white man, is going to be punished so bad, because it's not that he was the one that created all these idols, because all these idols that are worshipped today, they go back to Babel, they go back to ancient Egypt, ancient Sumeria. It goes back to to gods of the ancient world, which the men, the other heathen, the heathen have actually follow, and these doctrines and practices come back from those things. For example, Christmas goes back to Saturnalia. You have Easter going back to Talmud, right? Is it Talmud? um Queen of Heaven worship, and what's the name of that son? Skip me from time to time. With the Tammuz, right? Easter goes back to Tammuz with the rabbit. Halloween also goes back to that worship. You have Bacchanal, or goes back to the Lord Bacchus, right? So all, and the list goes on. There are many forms of idolatry that has been repackaged and rebranded, and placed in today's world. So whilst Esau did not create those gods in the first place, the fact that he's the one that's pushing it out there and having this vibration being sent out into this world, he's definitely going to be punished for that. And all these idols are going to be torn down just the same, right? Jumping down, verse 11 says, "Therefore, even upon the idols of the Gentiles shall there be a visitation, because in the creature of the Most High they are become an abomination and stumbling blocks to the souls of men, and a snare to the feet of the unwise. For the devising of idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication, and the invention of them the corruption of life." Right? And when we go into, as we go through the chapter, you're going to see the various ways in which, these things corrupt life. One of a good example is the fact that most of these Queen of Heaven worship, or woman worship, it goes to what? The destruction of the of the household, the destruction of the hierarchy, that Yahweh Shai set up in the first place, with the man being the head, the woman under the man, and the man under the heavenly under Yahweh Shai, right? And Yahweh Shai, being under the most high Yahweh, right? You have some religions that they have to sacrifice their children, just like back then when they had to sacrifice unto um Baal, right? You have the golden calf, you have all type of things, for example, even following astrology, wayward philosophies. Many people who commit idolatry, they just have a really barbaric way of thinking when you actually analyze the things that they find acceptable versus those things that they find unacceptable, right? So it really is the corruption of life, right? It goes down here and give an example of when someone a man's son dies and he sets him up as an idol, which Nimrod did that with it happened unto Nimrod. Tammuz just the same, right? Also somebody that made it. I'm jumping down, not reading the whole thing. Right. So after the workman had made the idol, as he was commanded or hired by someone in power, this is what then happens, right? Verse 20, Wisdom of Solomon 4, verse 20 says, "And so the multitude, allured by the grace of the work, took him now for a god, which a little before was but honored." Right? And this was an occasion to deceive the world. For men serving either calamity or tyranny did ascribe unto stones and stocks the incommunicable name. Right? Moreover, this was not enough for them, that they erred in the knowledge of the Most High, but whereas they lived in the great war of ignorance, those so great plagues called they peace. Right? So you have a lot of people that following various doctrines, following various gods, worshiping animals, and once again, the commandments and the requirements of most of these religions, when you actually are idol temples, right, and their doctrines, when you look at it, it really is a barbaric way to live. You know, in Mecca, right, a while back, they were praying to that big stone. A crane fell down and killed how many thousands of them. If Mecca was such a great god, why didn't he stop that from happening? Right? Why didn't he stop that from happening? Why would he allow his devoted servants to be killed like that? Right? But there's no answer for that. Right? Right. Right. But whereas they lived in great war of ignorance, right? So what it does is idolatry cause a great level of ignorance upon the earth, right? So those great plagues call a peace. For whilst they slew their children in sacrifices, so it's gonna list a few things, with these doctrines or these idol worship, require, right? Whilst they slew their children in sacrifices or used secret ceremonies, right? Example, witchcraft, or made revelings of strange rites. You have some people, they join certain religions, and they have to sacrifice the firstborn of their children, the firstborn son, or have to kill, let's see, with the Illuminati, some of them, they have to kill their parents or kill their best friends. They have to give up certain level of sacrifices, and it comes down even to basic things. Some people might have to give up a finger, or however strange it is, as it says, right, made revelings of strange rites. Maybe some of them, they have to have sex with animals, sleep in coffins, drink some form of herb, or something that will be a hallucinogen, to let them see weird things. It's just crazy, right? They kept neither lives nor marriages any longer undefiled, right? You have some of these religions where everybody can have sex with everybody, like with the hippie. you know you have polyandry, which is women having more than one husband. you know just a whole lot of things, even within Christianity. If you have as according to the scriptures, the man that actually takes a woman's virginity is her husband, right? If a woman is with a man that actually took her virginity, and you know just for argument's sake, let's say that everything is fine. The moment they go to a church, what the pastor will tell them to do is to actually leave that man who is actually their rightful husband, and marry, according to their laws, someone within the church, which then what cause what? Idolatry. Adultery, Slakia, right? That in turns cause adultery. And that's just one of many examples of how you can be turned to various things, right? It says, but either one slew another treacherously, or grieved him by adultery. Right. People killing people for money, people killing people for status, people killing people for over their spouses. You know, it caused a lot of confusion, because the doctrine leave a lot of things unchecked. Like for example, the do what thou wilt, and the women's right movement. As we highlight time and time again when we do the videos on stop the violence against women movement here in Jamaica. One of the major causes of these women being put to death is for them actually committing adultery, right? Meaning that they're actually sleeping with someone, basically going outside of the relationship. And as the scripture says, what? Jealousy is the rage of a man, right? So they'll tell all these reasons as to why this shouldn't happen, or why they should stop, and how we can prevent it, but not acknowledge the fact that it is because of adultery, and the cycle continues, right? Verse 25 says, so that they reign in all men without exception, blood, manslaughter, theft, and dissimulation, corruption, unfaithfulness, tumults, perjury, right? Once again, do what thou wilt, nothing is off the table. All this fear and love and war, phrases like that, where it doesn't matter how you get what you get, as long as you get it. Whether it's to rob, steal, kill, set up somebody, also whether it's a case where you put your ass on the table, it's all there. All is gain, right? Disquieting of good men, yeah, even if you have to trample on those that are walking the right path, right? Forgetfulness of good turns, people that will help you on your way, right? And at the end, when you get that good big break, or when you're in a good place, you actually forget that you got help, and turn your backs on those that actually helped you, right? Defiling of souls, leading people down the wrong path. Changing of kind, we see here we have transgender, right? The transgenderism is an example of changing of kind, or even the splicing of genes, cloning, and things of that nature, right? Disorder in marriages, we highlighted a few points on those already. Adultery and shameless uncleanness. A lot of women are shameless, and men as well, but you have a lot of women who are shameless in this society. That is why they have the slut march, they have the naked walk, and they do a whole lot of BS. No shame. Nobody wants to cover up as they should. Everybody just wants to do as they will, right? And men not being men, men being effeminate, men being homosexuals, men just not growing a pair of balls, pretty much, right? Verse 27 says, for the worshipping of idols not to be named is the beginning, the cause, and the end of all evil, right? And that's the thing, right? That is the exact reason why this current society is actually going to fall, because it is full of idolatry. It's full with the worshipping of idols in some way, shape, or form. In some way, shape, or form, if you're not in the truth serving Yahweh Shem Shai, then you're actually commit idolatry. Some people even worship themselves. Some people worship money. Some people worship material possessions, or fame, or glory, right? and that all of that leads to these things that was that was read above, right? Verse 28 says, for either they are mad when they be merry, exactly, no boundaries, everybody just doing some things that is insane, or prophesy lies. A lot of these pastors and politicians, they prophesy lies, and those that actually these schemers, they scam, actually scammers, they scam, they promise, they give people false hope and profit off of it, right? Or live unjustly, you know living by any means, or either or else lightly forswearing themselves. Exactly. I swear that this is gonna happen, I swear that that is gonna happen, and they just swear, without no regard or respect for the words that come out of their own mouths, right? For in so much as their trust is in idols which have no life, though they swear falsely, they look not to be hurt. And that's the thing. That is why the idolatry continues. That is why, even in these churches, whether it's a pastor or a deacon, especially out here in Jamaica, usually they're homosexuals. When certain people actually come out and say, I'm going to stop this, or this should not happen, and then behind closed doors, that's what they're doing, right? They don't look to be hurt, because guess what? The God that they're serving is not the true and living power, right? Verse 30 says, howbeit for both causes shall they be justly punished, both because they thought not well of the Most High, giving heed unto idols, and also unjustly swore in deceit, despising holiness, right? And that's the thing. Majority of these people out here, especially of the unbelievers with Jake, they despise holiness, right? They just they just say what they need to say to get their own way, i.e. telling lies, right, and getting over on each other, right? But they despise holiness. Nobody talk about truth, nobody talk about respect. Nobody has anything in order. The Lord's judgments, statutes, and commandments are not acknowledged in any way, shape, or form. As a matter of fact, even the same Christians that say they follow the Bible will say it's done away with. Once you talk about the Bible, it's said that it's now modern time, old time days. That doesn't apply today. It's full time now. People step away from the Bible, things of that nature. That is what you'll hear. So in that sense, they're actually despising holiness. Verse 31 says, for it is not the power of them by whom they swear, but it is the just vengeance of sinners that punisheth always the offense of the ungodly, right? So this current society will be punished and judged by Yahweh Shem Yahushai. There's no two ways about it, and it's for these things, the fact that everyone or majority of the people that are within this society is doing some form of idol worship, right? Let me find another quick scripture, then I close out. Let me think of that wrong. Um, 1 second, Akim. One. Right, so this is Colossians chapter 3 verse 5. It says, "Mortify therefore your members which are upon the earth, fornication, uncleanness, inordinate affection, evil concupiscence, and covetousness, which is idolatry, for which sake the wrath of God cometh on the children of disobedience, in the which he also walked sometime when he lived in them." Right? And that's the thing, right? These things, based on the list that we read earlier, it would definitely involve these things, fornication, uncleanness, inordinate affection, evil concupiscence, and covetousness, right? Verse 8 says, "But now ye also put off all these: anger, wrath, malice, blasphemy, filthy communication out of your mouth." But right, the key point is at verse 5 is the fact that, all these things, which are, pretty much evil, these are the things that would be, which is derived from idolatry, right? As it says in verse 6, "For which things sake the wrath of God cometh on the children of disobedience, in which he also walked sometime when he lived in them." So with that, I just want to say, if you don't turn from, idolatry, you will be destroyed by Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, right? So you need to repent. Ultimately, this is only for the elect. Once we want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, Hashem Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Shalom to the brothers in the highways and byways pushing this word in all sincerity and truth. The sisters, the believers, the helps. Shalom.